and Native Indians are the chosen people of the Most High God. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about idols and, idols that are created by man, Martin Luther King, and how we should follow the Most High God, Yahweh, and not man. Okay. So first, we know that just a few days ago, we had another American Hell Day, which is so-called Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Of course, if you don't know who Martin Luther King Jr. is, he was a so-called African American man who pretty much pushed the civil rights movement during that time, during the '60s. Uh, was looked at as a leader amongst blacks and black people. Shalom, sis. Shalom. Shalom. Yeah, so we know that Martin Luther King was, a so-called leader of the black community, and we know that his dream was really a nightmare. His dream was a nightmare for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So we're going to talk a little bit about him and just get into some scriptures. All right. So first, let's talk a little bit about Dr. Martin Luther King. Okay. Salakia, one moment. Okay. So first, let me pull up some, about his day and a little bit about him. Okay. So, all right. So Martin Luther King, his so-called day or day of reverence was this year was Monday, January 17th. Okay, and I believe it changes like depending on the year or whatnot. The time it changes like 2021. I think it was January 18th, but this year it was January 17th. Okay, so I'm gonna read a little bit about it. Okay, say Martin Luther King Jr. This is on, of course, Wikipedia. Um, Sometimes referred to as MLK Day, is a federal holiday in the United States marking the birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. It is observed on the third Monday of January each year. Born in 1929, King's actual birthday is January 15th, which in 1929 fell on a Tuesday. The holiday is similar to the holiday set under the Uniform Monday Holiday Act. The earliest Monday for this holiday is January 15th. Okay, so his original birthday is on January 15th, and they just depends on when it falls. They try to celebrate it earlier or later or whatever. And we know that, of course, and Asher became the commanding general Yohana. We know that, we don't observe birthdays. Okay, we know that that's an ancient Egyptian practice. Of course, the stinking Africans were the first ones who, you know, talked about, celebrating birthdays. I believe in the scriptures it talk about Pharaoh, celebrated his birthday, and of course, the Edomite, the oppressor, the devil that the Bible speaks about, he basically, took this culture and instituted it into what where we're at today. So again, to celebrate any birthday or to show any veneration or worship to another man is unlawful. And the only person that deserves worship or any praise is the Most High God, Yahweh. Okay. So with that being said, the topic of today, about idols and basically worshiping men. We know that Martin Luther King Jr. is made like you know a god here in America. Of course, um, they even erected a statue of Dr. Martin Luther King. They every year they bring up his speeches and his pictures, his videos, your clippings is all over the news and everywhere. And not to mention that a lot of people don't know that Martin Luther King's real name is Michael King, and he was the son of I believe another preacher or pastor. And again, he just had his whole mission was a vain. It was a vain mission. He what I mean his whole mission started out on the basis of him being in love with an Edomite woman. Okay, and that's how the whole civil rights movement started. And we'll read a little bit about that as well. But again, Dr. Martin Luther King was a false prophet. He led blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians into a burning building, and that was his own words. He said, at the end, towards the end, before he, checked up out of her, he said that he felt that he led his people into a burning house, a burning building, and that's exactly what he did. Because once the civil rights movement hit and Dr. Martin Luther King pushed for integration, we lost all our businesses, we lost our own schools, we lost all the things that were how you say profitable for us. as a nation of Israel. Of course, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. So integrating with the oppressor destroyed everything, because just like, if if we police ourselves, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, that would take away a lot of the murders that happens between, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians in our own communities. But integration allows what? The oppressor to come in and police you. And then what is the oppressor going to do? Given the relationship and the history of blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians and the oppressor, the so-called devil that the Bible speaks about, the relationship is not good. So the oppressor comes in to police our, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indian men and women. And then what's the ultimate result? Black people dying, black brothers and sisters dying, the oppressor, having control, over our daily functions. We got drugs instituted into our communities. It's just a horrible thing. Being integrated in with the oppressor has been nothing but detrimental to us. So that's what Dr. Martin Luther King pushed for. And, Dr. Martin Luther King is looked at as a reverend, a preacher, pretty much what your Christian pastor amounts to today. And they're all for the same, they all do what they do for the same reason, for vain purposes. For some, they have some goal and in the background that they're trying to achieve. That's not really about the people, but it's about them. And Dr. Martin Luther King, he, like I said, he was in love with an Edomite woman. And most pastors, they just do it for the money, to live a little better than the rest of their people. But again, Dr. Martin Luther King was a false prophet, and the Bible speaks about that. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. So let's pull up a little bit more about Dr. Martin Luther King. As you know, Dr. Martin Luther King was being followed and being under surveillance by the FBI, because Dr. Martin Luther King was not the man that most people thought he was, and he was being followed by the FBI for a number of reasons. And we're going to read a little something here. It's like a letter. Salakia, 1 minute. Okay, so this is a letter, you know, from the FBI and people that was following Dr. Martin Luther King, because Dr. Martin Luther King got caught basically. He was having like wild sexual practices in like hotels and whatnot with so-called Edomite women, and he was acting way out of character from what you might see on the screen when he talks about his dreams and his prophecies of little black boys and little white girls holding hands and whatnot. But in uh, these surveillance videos, there the FBI hasn't released them, but they're talking about Dr. Martin Luther King was saying some pretty foul things, man. Some very pretty ridiculous things while he was having sex with these Edomite women. So I want to read this little letter here to Dr. Martin Luther King. Okay, it says King, in view of your low grade, abnormal personal behavior, I will not dignify your name with either a Mr. or a Reverend or a Doctor. And your last name calls to mind only the type of king, such as King Henry VIII, and his countless acts of adultery and a moral conduct lower than that of a beast. So these people basically caught Dr. Martin Luther King having like orgies and things like that of that nature with the oppressor's daughters. And this guy's out here, acting like he's some type of savior for Black, Hispanics, and Native Indian people, and he's been surveilled doing animalistic practices. And so they're telling him, listen, man, like I'm not calling you king, I'm not calling you a doctor or none of that, because you're neither a doctor, a reverend, or any of that. You know what I mean? You're just a man who basically have some type of vain goal, or some animalistic practices, and they're just basically telling him to stop doing what he's doing. Stop preaching. Stop preaching. Yes, wow, sis. I mean, this is nothing. You got to watch General Mahyman, and General Mahyman's class. He touched on this the other day. I can't explain it like him, but yeah, you gotta check that out if you haven't heard it. You know what I mean? Salaki, I mean, I know your Lord will can tell you all about it. He's the man. So it says, King, look into your heart. You know you are a complete fraud and a great liability to all of us Negroes. White people in this country have enough frauds of their own, but I am sure they don't have one at this time that is anywhere near your equal. You are no clergyman, and you know it. I repeat, you are a colossal fraud and an evil, vicious one at that. You cannot believe in God and act as you do. Clearly, you don't believe in any personal moral principles. King, like all frauds, your end is approaching. You could have been our greatest leader. You, even at the early age, have turned out to be not a leader, but a dissolute, abnormal moral imbecile. We will now have to depend on your older leaders like Wilkins, a man of character, and thank God we have others like him. But you are done. Your honorary degrees, your Nobel Prize, and other awards will not save you. King, I repeat, you are done. No person can overcome facts, not even a fraud like yourself. Lend your sexually psychotic ear to the enclosing. See what they're talking about him? Sexually psychotic ear, because they caught him doing some very, crazy things. He was saying crazy things in this, when he got caught and when he was under surveillance. Um, Filth, evil, and moronic talk exposed on the record for all time. I repeat, no person can argue successfully against facts. You are finished. You will find on the record for all time your filthy, dirty, evil companions, male and females, giving expression with you to your hideous abnormalities, and some of them to pretend to be ministers of the gospel. That's what he does. That's what he's good at, and most Christian pastors are good at too. They pretend to be leaders or ministers or preachers of the word of God, when that's the furthest thing that's on their mind. They're just trying to attain riches or some type of goal, some vain goal, some self goal. Okay, Satan could not do more. What incredible evilness! It is all there on the record. Your sexual orgies. You can find this online. All you gotta just type it in. Dr. Martin Luther King, FBI, surveillance. It says, he said, Salaki, let me pick it up. Let me see. What incredible evilness. It is all there on record. Your sexual orgies. Listen to your listen to Salaki. Listen to yourself, you filthy, abnormal animal. You are on the record. You have been on the record. All your adulterous acts, your sexual orgies extending far into the past. This one is but a tiny sample. You will understand this, yes, from your various evil playmatics on the East Coast to and up, they block something out on the East Coast, and others on the West Coast and outside the country, you are on the record. King, you are done. The American public, the church organizations that have been helping Protestant, Catholic, and Jews will know you for what you are, an evil, abnormal beast. So will others who have backed you. You are done. King, there's only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. You have just 34 days in which to do this. Some of it's blocked off. So they're basically telling him he has a certain amount of time that he has to, finish preaching. He has to finish talking, because they got and they supposedly have this footage, and at some point they're going, supposedly, I can't say if it's true or not, but they're supposedly going to release it to the public. But basically, he was having orgies and whatnot in the in hotels with Edomite women and whatnot. So they're supposed to release these things. And again, we're talking about false prophets. False. Dr. Martin Luther King was a false prophet, and today, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have been shove this, down our throats that he is some type of leader, some type of savior. He's the guy that we're supposed to look up to. He's venerated. We worship him. He has a day every year that you get paid double time and a half for this day. You know what I mean? They make the whole day about him, but he's really nothing but a vain man who, stood for his own vain reasons. He didn't do anything for his people. And if anything, he got more people, black, Hispanics, and Native American people beat and, and hurt than anything. All right, so we're going to jump into some scriptures. All right, I'm going to jump into a little bit of scriptures. Okay, Salakia. So we're going to Jeremiah 14:14. Then the Lord said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, and a thing of naught, and the deceit of their heart. I read that again, Jeremiah 14:14. Then the Lord said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, and a thing of naught, and a deceit of the heart. So what is the Most High God talking about? Especially in this case here with Dr. Martin Luther King, so-called Dr. Martin Luther King. his dream was not the dream or the work of the Most High God Yahweh. This is a something that's personal or something that's for his own vain reasons. And again, if you don't know, Dr. Martin Luther King, was deeply in love with an Edomite woman, and he started his whole what you call civil rights movement and everything that he's doing behind the basis of him being in love with this woman because he couldn't, express his love for this woman and be with this woman at the time. So he was very hurt about it. And then all of a sudden here comes little black boys and little white girls should be the whole head. This is where it all stems from. And I'm gonna pull it up here before I read the scriptures again. I'm gonna pull up on here about the woman that he was in love with. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Slack it. 1 minute. Okay. Yeah, here. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Okay. So here's an article here on Politico.com, and it's stated as we were madly, madly in love. The untold story of MLK's white girlfriend. Okay, this is online. You can find this yourself. Okay, and the guy, this guy's name is Patrick Parr. He wrote about it, and I think it's going to go into her speaking and whatnot. Okay, her name is Betty Moitz or something like that. It's spelled Moitz. It took me a long time to find Betty Moitz. I had first learned of her full name while reading Bearing the Cross, the 1986 biography about Martin Luther King Jr., written by David Garrow. In the book, Garrow briefly describes a serious relationship between King and a young white woman around the same age named Betty. So if you want to go ahead and look this up yourself, the lady's name is Betty Moitz. It's spelled Moitz. And there's a book out there called Bearing the Cross about Dr. Martin Luther King by David Garrow. It says in the book, Garrow briefly describes a serious relationship between King and a young white woman around the same age named Betty. They had met at Crozier Theological Seminary in Chester, Pennsylvania. Slovakia. that's close to where I'm at. I'm here in Pittsburgh. Slovakia. That's where this started at. Chester, Pennsylvania. That's Slovakia. I believe that's near Philly. Right. At that time, where King was a divinity student from the age of 19 till 22, when he had graduated in May 1951. In Bearing the Cross, Garrow quoted a close friend and mentor of King's at the time, Reverend Pius J. Barber, who said that the relationship had left King as a man with a broken heart. He never recovered. Slovakia. There you go. That's where your whole civil rights movement sparked, right there. He said the relationship had left King as a man with a broken heart. He never recovered. Never recovered. In a way, I never recovered from that quote. As I wrote my own book about King, I wasn't satisfied with such a short description of such an apparently devastating relationship. Garrett was the first biographer to discover Betty's last name, and unfortunately for me, buried it in a heavyweight endnote at the back of the book. That endnote took me to two cross-country flights, spurred dozens of calls to wrong numbers, and knocks on countless doors of people I thought might have known Betty. They didn't, but I left my business card anyway, and eventually one of those people found someone who might know Betty, and that person sent me an address to which I sent letter, and it worked. All right, so it's going to go into a little bit about this relationship. From the start, Moitz and King's relationship was anything but carefree. Almost all of King's friends, including Barber, tried to discourage him from staying with Betty, knowing what an interracial relationship would mean for his future. I thought it was a dangerous situation that could get out of hand. And if it did get out of hand, it would be smeared for it would smear King. His Crozier classmate Cyril Powell recalled in a 1986 interview, it would make his future hard for him. So they're from the start, they knew that he was in love with this Edomite woman, and they were saying, listen, for your future, what you're going into, you can't be doing this. You can't be in love with this Edomite woman. All right. But Betty recalls at the time and the young King with fondness anyway. But Betty recalls that time and the young King with fondness anyway. In our year-long correspondence and one long meeting in January 2016, Betty, who recently passed away at the age of 89, told me the story of their relationship and just how close King came to walking away from his future plans for her. This man almost walked away from being the man that you know who he is today for this Edomite woman. I mean, that'll pretty much tell you, how he ended up doing what he did. I mean, this is telling you right here. All right. It says, this is Betty quoting this now. We were We were madly in love, madly in love. The way young people can fall in love, she told me during our conversation at her home. She started at the beginning. From a young age, Betty Moitz had a family connection to Crozier, where ML, as King was known at the time, was pursuing his studies before returning to his native Atlanta to follow in his father's footsteps as a preacher at Ebenezer Baptist Church. So here, just like Salaki, just like General Muhammad brought out the other day, this is a man who was basically following the footsteps of his father. His father was, gassing him up, hyping him up to be some great next preacher, a great leader for Black people. But it was just a vain thing. His father did the same thing before him. Okay. All right. When she retired, Betty's mother, oh, Salakia, Moitz's grandmother, Elizabeth, became the school's dietitian in 1933. When she retired, Betty's mother, Hannah Moitz, took over the position, and she kept it throughout ML's years there. So while Martin Luther King was there, the woman's mother was there as well. The family lived in a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom home on the Crozier campus, and Betty graduated with honors from Eddystone High School, located only 2 miles away. Betty spent many days in her youth walking over to the kitchen to check on her mother, lend an extra hand, or just hang around and chat. Despite the constant exposure to the world, Betty had no intention of becoming a divinity student. She graduated from high school in 1946 and went directly to Moore College of Art, right across the river from the University of Pennsylvania. She was still a student at Moore in late 1948 when she paid one of her regular visits to her mother in the basement of Old Main, the main building on Crozier's campus. This day was different because Betty met someone new, a well dressed, ambitious young man from Atlanta, Georgia, who was in his first year at the seminary and lived on the second floor of Old Main. He had a smooth voice and a sly smile. Salakia. Salakia. That's not even funny, but he said he had a smooth voice and a sly smile. That's your Christian pastors right there. That's your Dr. Martin Luther King right there. A smooth voice and a sly smile. And our people are suckers for that. You know what I mean? These pimps in alligator suits, greasy pimps. A smooth voice and a sly smile. Mm, Salakia. At first, she and ML were just making small talk in Miss Hannah's kitchen. Nothing that would cause nearby students to turn their heads. But it continued. As they spoke on and on for over the next few months, Betty learned about ML's background and his tremendous hopes for the future. So this man had tremendous hopes for his people in the future, right? All right, this is what it's saying. All right. Crozier was known as a very radical religious institution, she told me. So I was surprised to hear from ML himself that he had more conservative beliefs. All right, so Martin Luther King had more conservative beliefs. ML's own feelings for Betty were something he tried to keep secret. Though he had even written to his mother about his other recent dating prospects, he would not have been at all eager to inform her that he was interested in a young white woman. Walter McCall, ML's best friend and hallmate, who went by Mac, knew of course, but he saw no harm in helping his best friend separate himself even further from racial norms than both believed were outdated. So he's believing that, the whole, black and like the Most High says in the Bible that we're to separate from other nations. He, of course, he didn't believe that, even though he was a preacher, a pastor, a teacher. I guess he never knew that the Most High wanted us separate from other nations. All right. Okay. And though a few other students took note of ML and Betty's friendly dialogue, it was, after all, a small world inside Old Main. No one seemed too bothered. Fellow Crozier seminarian and King friend Marcus Wood, in particular, understood some of what spurred ML's attraction. I suppose he thought that, here, I'm out of the South now and not back home. Wood said in the 1986 interview, out in the open, nothing illegal, a free place. Sure, I can go over and talk to this white girl. So he's, Martin Luther King's out of the South. He's out of Atlanta. He's up here near, near Pennsylvania, and I guess he's thinking that all that's over. But little white girls and little black boys can hold hands now, right? This is what he's believing. Throughout the course of ML's first year at Crozier, his relationship with Betty continued to develop as their chats moved out of the Miss Hannah's basement kitchen. Soon, ML was also making a straight 5-minute walk from Old Main to visit her at the Moit's home. So he started going to her home. He used to go over their house quite often to see her. Wood wrote in the 1998 memoir, ML felt at ease with Betty. It was the enthusiasm with which he spoke on a wide range of topics that first attracted her. He would talk and talk and talk, Betty says. At first, they discussed his time in the South and how different it was from the idealized culture within the seminary. He didn't yet know how, but according to Betty, one thing ML knew at age 19 was that he could change the world. So this man knew at a very young age he was about to come out and start tricking his people. Basically, that's what he knew. He knew he was about to come out and be something, you know, this false prophet that he became. Okay. By this point, oh Salaki. When ML returned to school the following fall of 1949, his and Betty's relationship continued to blossom, but this was also when the difficulties began for the young couple. Okay. By this point, they had become more comfortable on campus, sitting on benches and talking about their plans and goals for the future in full view of ML's classmates and teachers. When asked if she had concerns about how they might be seen, Betty shrugs. I never noticed. I always had a tan and dark brown hair, but the 20-year-old ML was more aware of the potential social fallout. It is important to note that in 1949, interracial relationships were still very much taboo in the United States. Fewer than 40 miles from Kozer was the state of Maryland, where the first law against interracial marriage was enacted in 1664. The state would keep similar laws on its books for more than 300 years. Even in 1958, a Gallup poll would report that an outstanding 94% of white Americans disapproved of interracial marriage. Uh, Pennsylvania was one of the most flexible states when it came to miscegnation laws. Still, that didn't mean ML and Betty could head over to a local cafe and hold hands out in the open. Members of the Crozier community, despite their liberalism, would have had trouble throwing their support behind such an arrangement. They weren't against it, but they weren't exactly for it either. Glares, scoffs, and head shakes were inevitable. Glares, scoffs, and head shakes were inevitable. Cyril Powell, ML's classmate from Panama, who worried about the relationship smearing King, worked in the kitchen and dining hall and witnessed ML and Betty getting closer. I knew about it. I thought it was bad, but I didn't want to get involved. And we're gonna read a little bit more, then we'll go into the scriptures. I just want y'all to get y'all familiar about, how this false prophet came to be. See, when there's a false prophet, you know, it's somebody that comes along with some type of, like I said, some type of goal, some type of reasoning for what they're doing, and usually it's usually about money, or it's about some type of celebrity status or fame and whatnot. In this guy's case, it was about he had love for this Edomite woman, and we know that of course. And the truth, and according to the ISUPK the commanding general, following the rules, laws, statutes, commands of the Most High God Yahweh, that it's unlawful for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to date outside of their nation. Okay, so obviously this man didn't know it, or he knew it and didn't care. Okay, so this is why he became this false prophet, and he started his whole movement based off his feelings for a Edomite woman. Soon, their dates mainly consisted of Betty driving ML around the city of Chester, ignoring the skulls of society. I listened, Betty says, and he just talk and talk. But she loved it. His enthusiasm, his anxious hopes to return south and help people. He was wonderful, a joy to be with and listen to. All right, okay. Let me see. I want to get down to where it pretty much is about the. Uh, okay. Uh, so lock, yeah. Okay. I'm just go down a little bit. ML's friends sensed how serious he was getting about Betty Moitz, and all of them, except for Mac, worried about how this would affect his future plans. According to Marcus Wood, the more we warned ML that marriage was out of the question, especially if they hoped to become a pastor in the South, the more he refused to break off the potentially controversial relationship. ML's counter-argument had two components. The first, of course, was the obvious one. He loved Betty. She listened to him, supported him, and greatly admired his ambitions. He could see himself marrying her. The second was a symbolic component. Wouldn't their union also be a powerful statement that barriers can be brought down? It could serve as living proof of his belief in the idea of social integration. There you go. Salaki. I don't even think I got to read any more after that. I'm gonna read that one more time. Wouldn't their union also be a powerful statement that barriers can be brought down? So he's saying that being with this Edomite woman, and I'm a so-called African American male, it will break down the barriers of that white and black can't be together, or let's go against the Most High God's law, statutes, and commands, where it says that we're not to deal with people outside our race, right? This is what he thought. This again, you gotta understand. That's the difference between that's how you recognize a false prophet. He goes against what the Most High God says. Okay, yeah, sure, he has a nice smile. He's sly with his words. He's smooth, and his words are smoother than butter. But he does not tell you what the Most High God wants. He tells you what He wants, so he can get what He wants. That's how you label a false prophet, because they're out for themselves or for some type of goal. They're not trying to do what the Most High God wants to do. All right. Okay. Wouldn't their union also be a powerful statement that barriers can be brought down? It could serve as a living proof of his belief in the idea of social integration. There you go. That's the start of what happened to us, what was due to come to us later, as he progressed in who he became. Social integration. This is what he pushed for, right? He wanted to combine the two people, the two nations, and everybody hold hands, give your daughters to their sons, to our daughters, and vice versa. But we know that the Most High God is against that. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are to only deal with their nation, their people. All right, so now we're going to jump into some scriptures, okay? We don't need to read no more about him. We know what he's about. All right, so let's go over to Jeremiah 14 and 14. We'll pick up right back there. Okay, then the Lord said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not. Neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, and a thing of naught, and the deceit of the heart. What did Dr. Martin Luther King do? I have a dream that one day little black girls and little black boys. That is, that is the prophecy of lies. Okay, because the Most High God is not for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians dating or being with someone outside of their race. Okay, that's the prophecy of lies. So we know that Dr. Martin Luther King was a false prophet, and he did this for the own deceit of his own heart. One more time. Then the Lord said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not. The Most High God didn't send Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah, he might be here, but the Most High God didn't send him for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. He came with his own agenda, his own mission. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination. That's a false vision that little black boys and little black girls can walk holding hands. That's a false vision. Okay, according to the Most High God, that is false. That is something that's not accepted by the Most High God. This is what man pushes for, okay, but not the Most High God, Yahweh. And the thing of not, and the deceit of their heart. So it's their heart. It's their own heart. And we know that the heart, is talking about the mind. Okay, his mind. He's deceived in his own mind. He thinks that it's going to happen. That little black girls and little black boys and all these things can come together. But that's his own mind deceiving him. Okay, let's jump over to the next scripture. Salakia. Let's go to Jeremiah 12 and 10. Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. They have trodden down my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness. See, it starts many pastors. What was Dr. Martin Luther King? He was a pastor. What is your Christian church? The man in your Christian church, the head honcho in your church, he's a pastor. He says, many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. Who was the Lord's vineyard? The children of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. These pastors, have trodden my portion underfoot. That's like, just imagine, something under your foot and you stepping on it. You trotting, you walking, you stepping on it. These pastors have stepped on their own people. All right. They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness. Okay. The pleasant portion is the nation of Israel. Okay. And these pastors have made us, our people, our neighborhoods, everything we have a desolate wilderness. Why? Because they are teaching us that the laws of God are done away with. Teaching that little black boys and little black girls can hold hands is teaching that the Most High God's laws are done away with. Because of course, the Most High God does not say that. The Most High God says that we are to deal with our own people and our own people only. So they have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness. So these pastors, like Dr. Martin Luther King, the Christian pastor on Sunday, and when you go to church on, for Bible study on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you go, that's who it's talking about. Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. They have destroyed the Lord's people. These pastors, Dr. Martin Luther King, who's been venerated, worshipped, and praised on his birthday, January 17th or 18th, whenever it falls on, we get up here, we hear his first of all, his speech is plagiarized. I don't know how many people know that, but Dr. Martin Luther King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech is plagiarized, and I believe it's plagiarized by a guy named Carey or Archibald Carey. Somebody, I'm gonna have to look it up. But yeah, his most famous speech was plagiarized. He took it right from somebody else. So this guy's just been a fake all the way over. He's never really put in any work. He's just a fake. He's just somebody to come and distract the people and lead us to damnation. All because he had love for an Edomite woman. All right. Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. They have trodden my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness. That's your Dr. Martin Luther King. Okay, that's your Christian pastor. All right, that's who that's talking about. Go over to the next one. Okay, let's go. All right, Jeremiah 23:25. Well, how much clearer it can be when I read this for you, Salaki. Let me get this drink in real quick. All right, so look at Jeremiah. Oh, Salaki again. I was trying to say this when I'm teaching class, but this face covering is just policy at the place where I'm teaching at, so that's why I have to have it on. All right, Jeremiah 23:25. I have heard what the prophet said that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. That is literally in the scriptures. You want to go see it for yourself. Jeremiah 23:25. Isn't that what Dr. Martin Luther King said? I have dreamed, I have dreamed, I have dreamed that one day little black boys and little black girls. I have heard what the prophet said. Dr. Martin Luther King is looked at as a prophet, right? In America, right? He's venerated, he's worshipped in January 17th. They got a speeches planned. They got a statue up of Dr. Martin Luther King. He's worshipped like a god, right? And he's a prophet here in America, right? A false prophet, but that's what they believe he is. I have heard what the prophet said that prophesied lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed. I have dreamed. It's in the Bible. You can look it up yourself. Don't get mad at me, Priest Officer Kwangwan, for bringing it out. Don't get mad. Until I get to the men above me. Don't get mad at us and the ISUPK and their commanding Junior Hunter. This is in the Bible. Okay? So you can't be mad at us. This is what the scriptures say. All right, I'll read it one more time. Jeremiah 23:25. I have heard what the prophet said that prophesied lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. It's in the Bible. It's right here in the Bible. All you got to do is open up the book and read it. Jeremiah 23:25. So again, Dr. Martin Luther King is that prophet, that false prophet that, prophesied lies in the name of the Most High God, that claims he does the Most High God's work, but really he's just doing his work. He really just wants to lay down and have sex with Edomite women. He really just wants to, lay up in a hotel and have orgies like he got caught doing. I mean, this is what he does. I mean, and again, this is not, something that's we're just making up about him. These are proven facts. They have these things. They have these documented. They have the surveillance, and we just read a story about the lady Betty Moitz or whatever her name is, and she confirmed that they were in love. So this is a true thing. So when you think about all them blacks, Hispanics, Native American people, black people being hosed down during the '60s, all the black people that marched up from Alabama up to the north and remember and General Muhammad brought this out the other day that a lot of people think that they were coming up there for equal rights. And that's not what they were coming up there. They were coming up there for jobs. They were taught that they were going to, they were talking about getting jobs, getting better employment. So all the people marched up from Alabama up into the north, to march at what was it, DC, and all the people getting, hosed down, attacked by police dogs, sicked on them and everything. And Dr. Martin Luther King even said from his own mouth that he felt that he believed that his whole mission was basically a failed mission. He led his people into a burning house. This is what he said before he died. This is the truth. He even admitted that he was a false prophet. You know what I mean? I guess he thought about the fact that he was never going to be with this Edomite woman, and that he started seeing all his people being hurt from his his dreams of people coming together, his integration, and the fact that we lost all our businesses and all the power that we did have at the time. So Locke, yeah, Khan says I'm definitely trying to. I'm definitely trying to. So yeah, so Dr. Martin Luther King was a false prophet. Okay, like I said, Jeremiah 23:25. I have heard what the prophet said. The prophesied lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed. I have dreamed. I mean, who else could that be talking about? He's known for that famous speech. I have a dream. I have a dream of one day. This is what he talked about. And there's a lot of people just like him. Again, what's in this Bible? is what's legit. If it's not in this Bible, if you know what I mean, if there's a law against, what somebody's, doing, that's how you know they're a false prophet. He's telling you to, he's pushing for integration. He's pushing for, he believes that he can break down the barriers of the racial barriers and be with an Edomite woman. But in the Bible, it doesn't say that. It says that we are to deal with our own people, our own nation. And again, if you're in the world and if you've never heard this before, you didn't know that, it was unlawful for you to deal with someone outside of your race, and you made that decision at a point in your life, you didn't know, you didn't know. But now, once you hear the truth, once the priests and prophets of the ISUPK and the commanding general Yohana bring it out, and you understand that and you hear it, now you're held accountable. Okay, now you can't make that decision anymore. A lot of brothers have made these mistakes, being in the world. We have made a lot of mistakes being in the world. But once that truth was brought out, you got no more excuses, what I mean, for your wrongdoings. Let's go to the next scripture. Okay. Okay, and that's perfect. Going right into the next one is perfect because this is what we need to bring out. Deuteronomy 7:3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. Deuteronomy 7:4. For they would turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. So Deuteronomy 7:3 is talking about, when we came into the land, you know what I mean, and we had all these heathens around us, and they got their practices and the things that they do that are unlawful to Israelites. And the Most High God is saying, listen, when you come into this land and you're around these people, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Don't mean We know that sex is marriage. You don't lay down with somebody from another nation of people. Okay, period. You don't put if you're a man, you don't put your rod in the box of an Edomite woman. You only deal with Israelites. Okay. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. Okay, now it goes on to tell you why. For they will turn away thy son from following me. If you deal with a woman outside of your nation, or a man outside of your nation, they have what? They have certain morals, practices, and things that they do, coming from their people, from their history, which is usually some type of heathenistic practice that is unlawful to the Most High God. You understand? You get somebody from another nation, what's going to happen? They're going to be celebrating holidays. They're going to be celebrating Christmas, New Year's. You know what I mean? They're going to believe that you can deal with somebody outside your nation. They're going to be doing everything under the sun that's a sin. And you as an Israelite, you're going to be the one that's going to have to pay for that, because you are the seed or the child of the Most High God. You know what I mean? One of the children of the Most High God, Yahweh. So you cannot conduct yourself like the heathens round about you. The Most High God gave us strict laws, statutes, and judgments that we are not supposed to conduct ourselves like other people, other nations. So when you celebrate Christmas, you roll up the weed, you eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster, you deal with women or men outside of your nation, all these other things under the sun, you will be punished for that. And this goes back to why we're in a situation that we're in today in America and all over the world. This is why we are, at the bottom of the barrel, why we are, in impoverished conditions, why we are the tenants and they're the landlords. Okay. This is why. Because we believe people like Dr. Martin Luther King, who says that we can hold hands with little white girls and little white boys can get along and they can be in relationships. Okay. This is what he pushed. And again, you have to understand, as a Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian man or woman, who are you really listening to? Are you serving, a false prophet, the idol, or the oppressor, the devil that the Bible speaks about? Or are you going to listen to what the Most High God, Yahweh, says? You pick up this Bible, or you get into classes, ISUPK.com, and we have classes here in Pittsburgh every Thursday from 5 p.m. to 6:30, Salakia, and you can find out this truth. You can find out this truth. You can get into school, uh, become a young man, take your officer's test, become a trooper, become a trooper to take your officer's test, become an officer, and then you can be in this truth, and you can learn everything you need to know about the rights and wrongs, how to you know worship the Most High God in truth and do things the right way. But if you're in the world, you're going to be listening to people like Dr. Martin Luther King, Steve Harvey, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, all people who have vain reasons and vain situations that they just want to earn money and lie to you and have you in a bad situation with your God. All right. So again, these heathen nations, they can celebrate Christmas. They can dress up for Halloween. They can eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. The Most High God don't care about what they do. You know what I mean? He only cares about what the nation of Israel does because that is his firstborn. We are his firstborn, his heritage. You know what I mean? His children. Deuteronomy 7:3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Notice that he didn't say you don't deal with them because of the color of their skin. He didn't say that. He said, for they will turn away thy son from following me. He don't care if like Dr. Martin Luther King said, oh, she's supporting me, she believes in me, she likes the way I talk, I'm slick, I got a nice smile. The Most High God don't give a damn about none of that. He doesn't give a damn about none of that. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. You get with a heathen woman or a heathen man, they're going to turn you away from following the Most High God. And the anger of the Lord will be kindled against you, meaning you, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's why you don't do it. All right, Salakia. Okay, let's go to 7 and 6. And this is another reason why he's telling you why. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. Holy means separate. We are a separate people to the Most High God, Yahweh. We are different than the heathen nations. We can't do what they do. You understand? The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So the Most High God says, you're better than that Edomite woman or man. You're better than that other African man or African woman. This is racism right here in the Bible. And this is what the Most High God says. This is not Priest Officer Kwangwan's words. I'm just reading what's in the Bible. Okay, so if you have a problem with that, you pull up Deuteronomy 7 and 6 and you read it for yourself. Okay, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. And what is that telling you there? He chose the nation of Israel, his heritage, to be above all people. But the question you need to be asking yourself, or ourselves, is why are we not above all people? And then you begin to understand why Dr. Martin Luther King is a false prophet, because he teaches you that it's okay to, he's telling you that you can be equal. Every people are going to be equal, and that you can hold hands with somebody from another nation and be in a relationship and have sex with them. This is what he teaches. Okay. But the Lord says, in order for us to be above all people, we have to keep his laws. And his law says that we are not to deal with people outside of our nation. So it tells you clear, he's a false prophet. And anybody who teaches that is a false prophet, which is usually your Christian pastors, your imam, men in the conscious community. Anybody outside the ISUPK and the commanding general is a false prophet. Fake Israelites, they're false prophets too. They're just Christians. All right. Let's go to the next scripture. All right. Let's go to Jeremiah 16:20. Shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are no gods? I'll read it again. Shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are no gods? That's exactly the situation we got here with Dr. Martin Luther King. He is made a god. By who? By other men. Is he a god? He's not a god. Okay, we understand clearly that he's not a god. Okay, but he is made a god. When you go to worship him on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, his birthday, you're making him a god. You go to stare and be in awe over his statue, that's making him a god. Saying, thinking about him all on January 17th or 18th is making him a god. Okay. Shall a man make gods unto himself? How can a man who is created by the Most High God make a god? That's what that's telling you. How does that even sound? They are no gods. Okay. They are no gods. All right. Let's go to the next one. Deuteronomy 18:20. But the prophet, which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. This is in the scriptures. I read it again, Deuteronomy 18:20. But the prophet, which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. So if you got these Christian pastors out here, or somebody like Dr. Martin Luther King, who's speaking all these fantastic words and saying, God, God approves of this, and God sent me here today, and this and that. But the Most High God didn't command him to speak that. That's just what he believes and what he wants to say. And he says that if that same man or these men talk about worshiping any other God. You got people like Malcolm X, who taught blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians to what? Worship Allah, right? So these things are not gods. These are false gods. Dr. Martin Luther King is a false prophet. Okay, even that prophet shall die. Enough said. Enough said. Salaki. I mean, this is just what it is. A prophet that speaks false things, that speaks in, like he's, speaking for the Most High God, but teaching against what the Most High God wants you to do, that prophet is going to die. Okay, so if you're telling, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that it's okay to, have sex with people outside of their race, and then the scriptures it says that we are not to do that. We just read that in Deuteronomy 7:6. Then you're a false prophet, and you're going to die. That's just what it is. It's in the Bible. Don't be mad at me. That's in Deuteronomy 18:20. All right. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 9:16. Let me get a couple more in. Isaiah 9:16. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. So, of course, for the leaders, we know that Dr. Martin Luther King is looked at as a leader, right? There's what Steve Harvey is looked at as a leader. As much as it kills me to let that come out of my mouth, he's looked at as a leader. I mean, it just kills me. I just can't believe people really think that as a leader. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them is us, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. These people are looked at as leaders, and we are led by these people because what? We believe in them. They got the nice house, the cars, they got the huge congregation, they got the nice, uh, Christian, swag, the new suits, the Italian suits, and the Gators, and the Range Rovers, and you know what I mean. Multiple the pastor sleeping with multiple women in the church that probably ain't even his wife or some other man's wife. But anyway, in the world, people look up to people like this because he's rich. You got money. You got a huge congregation. For the leaders of this people cause them to err. They that are led of them are destroyed. So by listening to Dr. Martin Luther King, by listening to Steve Harvey, who is now a new judge now, just to throw that out, Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes, black people are destroyed. Because why? Because they teach opposite of what actually the Bible says. They don't actually teach. They call themselves Christians and they claim to know the Most High God, but they tell you that the laws are done away with. They don't actually go by anything that's in his Bible. They will allow, T.D. Jakes will allow homosexuals in his church. He has interviews talking about it. Just go and look it up for yourself. Dr. Martin Luther King will talk about how much he loves God and follows God, but then he'll tell you that little white girls and little white boys can hold hands. And Steve Harvey, I mean, I'm not even going to give him any more of my time. But they that are led of them are destroyed. So, and that's us. We have become destroyed because we are listening to these lying pastors, these false leaders, these false, these so-called people that we make idols in our community. And that would be your Dr. Martin Luther King. Okay. Let's go to Leviticus 19:4. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. Okay. Plain and simple. Turn ye not unto idols. Dr. Martin Luther King is an idol. Do not even look his way. Don't consider his dream. Don't let that into your ears. Don't even take that into your thoughts. Okay. Don't that is his own vain goal. Okay. His dream turned into a nightmare for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And we still suffer from the effects today. We were destroyed, through integration and through through that time period. And we're still suffering from it today. So turn ye not into idols, nor make to yourself molten gods. I am the Lord your God. So he's just letting you know, don't pay attention to these false prophets. And just know that the scriptures also say that these false prophets are there to test you, are there to test us. So if you're a black, Hispanic, or Native Indian man or woman, and these false prophets come about and you listen to what they say, you do what they tell you, these false things that they tell you to do, what it really just shows is that you're not loyal to the Most High God Yahweh. You're more focused on following man and things of the world than actually following your God. And that's just a test for us. So when you follow these false prophets are here for a reason. They're here, to see if you're loyal to the Most High God, or you're going to be loyal to yourself or to some other man. Turn ye not unto idols. Okay? Turn ye not unto idols. Let's go. Leviticus 26:1. Ye shall make you no idols, nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image. What does that sound like? Who has a statue now? Who's venerated and celebrated on January 17th? That's your MLK, right? Neither rear you up a standing image. So when you go down there and look up at his statue, He's some great man and whatnot. But remember the fact that he was in the hotel having orgies with Edomite women, telling them that they were the niggers tonight. This is what he said, Salakia, but that's what he said in the FBI surveillance. This is what they were saying. He was saying all types of nasty, animalistic things. But this is the guy that you worship so much and say that we worship and say that he's we look at him as an idol, and he has a statue that's reared up. You know what I mean, neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land to bow down into it, for I am the Lord your God. So we don't bow down to his image, to his so-called have a dream speech. We don't take on his philosophy. You understand? We don't bow down to that. The only person who's worthy of that is the Most High God, Yahweh. That's the only person who's worthy of that. We don't give that to no man. Okay. And the only leader that you have today is the ISUPK under commanding General Yohana. His generals, his captains, his officers. Those are your leaders. Okay. And they follow the rank, the chain of command. Yahweh, our king, will always be our king. And then we got the Most High God, Yahweh. That's the rank of things. That's the order of things. That's how it goes. Like commanding General Hana is the best man walking on 2 feet right now. Okay, under the Most High God and Yahweh. Leviticus 26:1. You shall make you no idols nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image. Don't look at Dr. Martin Luther King's statue and think that it's something great or something grand. He is no God. He's not to be made a God. Like he said, he led his people into a burning house. He said it out of his own mouth. All right. Okay. 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 Let's go over to 2 Kings 17 and 12. 2 Kings 17 and 12. For they served idols, whereof the Lord has said unto them, ye shall not do this thing. 2 Kings 17 and 13. Yet the Lord testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets. So what he's saying here is our ancestors, they did the same thing. They would celebrate, worshiping idols and, things of other nations and heathen nations. And the Lord said he testified against Israel, against Judah, by all the prophets and by all the seers. That would be like today, that would be the ISUPK under commanding General Hana. Those are the prophets and the seers, the men that have come to teach Israel to repent of their sins and to get back to serving their God, the Most High God, Yahweh. All right? By all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, turn ye from your evil ways. Turn ye from listening to Dr. Martin Luther King's dream speech. Turn ye from that. That is false. That comes from a false prophet. And keep my commandments and my statutes. Keep his laws, statutes, and commands. We do not deal with anyone outside of our nation. We don't have sex with anyone outside of our nation. We don't hold hands with little white girls and vice versa. It's not of our people. This is what the Most High God says. It's in the Bible. According to all the law which I commanded your fathers and which I sent to you by my servants, the prophets. So today it's being sent to you from the ISUPK under commanding General Hunter. Back then you had, the book, you had, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Isaiah, Jeremiah, the Old Testament, Moses, but today it's the ISUPK under commanding General Hunter. That's how you're getting this knowledge now. Okay, so you need to hold on to it, grasp it, obtain it, do it. Listen to us because we're bringing this truth to you. We care about our people. This is what we're taught by commanding Junior Hana. All right, let's get a little more and we're almost out of here. All right, let's see. 1 Chronicles 16 and 25. For great is the Lord and greatly to be praised. He also is to be feared above all gods. Okay, so we so busy worried about the veneration of another man and listening to another man and serving man, but we have no thought towards serving our God Yahweh. We don't really consider that He is the God, He is the Creator that made everything, that allowed everything to come to be. We don't fear Him. We don't want to keep His laws, statutes, commands. We don't want to hear that, but we want to do what a man tells us to do, and that's what we need to consider. Being Israelites, Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, men and women, we need to consider our God. He is greatly to be praised. He's the only one that gets praised. He's the only one that gets veneration. Okay. He also is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the people are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Dr. Martin Luther King is made by a man. He was created, just like any other man, but his image and what he represents is he was made by a man, by men, okay, by people. And he is an idol. That's the difference. That's not God. He's an idol. but the Lord made the heavens. It's letting you know that the Most High God made the heavens. You know what I'm saying? He made great, grand things, and he is not to be compared to by a man. You don't compare him to a man or some idol that man makes. Let's get one more. Let's end it with Hosea 4 and 6. Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. One more time. My people, Israel, are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. You reject the fact that the Most High God is telling you, don't listen to these idols, don't listen to these false prophets. Get into these scriptures. The scriptures say, Deuteronomy 7:6, stay with your own people, deal with your own people. We're not going to give our heritage or deal or have sex outside of our race. Okay, like Dr. Martin Luther King taught you. Okay, that's what it means when we say we lack knowledge. We lack knowledge of these things. We believe that these things that the false prophets say. We don't check these scriptures and see what the Most High God says. We just listen to what man tells us to do. That thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. So when you see Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians down in the street, we see we stay in impoverished conditions. We stay as the tenants, and their other nations are the landlords. They have the say so over us, and every type of situation we're being we're crushed under white supremacy in the court system. We're being murdered by police. When you see these things happen, you got to understand that we have forgotten the laws of the Most High God Yahweh, and I can begin to tell you why we're in the situation we're in. So to wrap it up, just to let you know that Martin Luther King and many like him, they were false prophets. Okay, your Christian pastor is a false prophet. Okay, the man that you follow in the Hotep conscious community is a false prophet. Your fake Israelite group outside of ISUPK, the commanding junior Hana, is a false prophet. Okay, so with that being said, again, this is the Thursday class. I'm Priest Officer Kwamgwan. This is the ISUPK, the commanding junior Hana. We do have classes throughout the ISUPK, Monday through Friday from 6 p.m. 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Here in Pittsburgh, we have from 5:30 to 5 to 6:30 p.m. And then we have a Sabbath service as well. And you can go online, ISUPK.com, check out everything we got on there. We got the Passover coming up. Pay your tithes. You can also kick up a donation and support this truth, man. Support this truth for the ISUPK and the Commanding Junior Hana. And with that, I'm gonna say shalom.